Hello, I'm at the launch of the Stuttering Awareness Mental Wellbeing campaign, and I'm joined by Jamie Googan, one of the driving forces behind that campaign. Hello, Jamie.
Con, how's it going?
Very well, and your good self?
Very good.
Good. Jamie, would you mind sharing with us, please, why you've decided to launch this campaign, why you feel this campaign is important?
So we have come together to officially launch a national awareness campaign in Ireland to educate others on stuttering. And if we could help one person or one family or one child, then this campaign would have been a huge success. Because I know personally how it feels to stutter, there's other people that need this help.
Very good. And Jamie, would you share with us, please, some of your experiences of stuttering and the impact that has had on you?
Of course. So when I was very, very young, I fell and I hit my head off the curb, but I ended up knocking out my 4 front teeth. So when that happened, I believe that was the trigger for me to stutter. So going through primary school, you would be never able to say your name, where you're from, or your phone number. So I started secondary school, and that very first day of secondary school, we were in the assembly and we were all put into the circle, and I was the second last individual. So we all had to say our names of where we're from and our hobbies. Now it came for my turn and it was a disaster. I stuttered on my name, I stuttered on my address and my phone number, and the whole room laughed. And it's hugely embarrassing when you're looking at 90 other people saying their name, where they're from, their phone number, very eloquently, on point, very precise. Then it comes to you and it's a disaster. So I struggled through the next 6 years and I found myself at CIT, now Munster Technological University. And my very first presentation there was supposed to last 5 minutes, but it lasted 18 minutes. And I left that room with a huge amount of shame and guilt, embarrassment and self-blame. And I went back to my student accommodation and I locked myself away in a room for 3 days. And what I wanted to do is that I wanted to experience the same physical pain that I had mental pain. So that would mean self-hurt. On day 3, I remembered I watched the Late Late Show. And Gary Gates and Michael O'Shea were on the Late Late Show. And on day 3, I made that very important phone call and I asked for help.
Wonderful. And when you asked for help, how long was there, or how much of a gap was there between when you asked for help and you were able to identify where you'd be able to get that help?
So it was 3 months later. I found myself in August 2012 inside a room in front of Michael O'Shea, who I saw on the Late Late Show, and for the first time ever, I heard a person talk about feelings and emotions associated with stuttering. Now, I was watching this brilliantly eloquent speaker speak about feelings with stuttering, and I could relate to every single part of that. And it was an honor for me to be mentored by this man. And I spent 3.5 days inside a room with Michael O'Shea, and he gave me the foundation and the tools that I needed to change my life.
So Ryan Tubridy's choice of having a segment in the Late Late Show about stuttering was instrumental in helping you find your way out.
Most definite.
Yeah.
And not only did it help me, it helped lots of other people that have watched that show and that are trained by Michael O'Shea. Now, that has helped so many people in ways that we cannot even thank him enough.
So I would imagine as well that you'll be hoping for and will be driven by a similar desire for the program you're launching. So that interview took place in around 2012, 2013 maybe. And so this could be a new relaunch or a reboot, but with its own particular message or its own particular theme.
Of course.
Yeah.
We always said if we can help one person, one child, one family, this has been already a success.
Okay, so after your first encounter with the program that you were working on, how did you feel after that?
So when I was leaving the course, I had a fast conversation with Michael O'Shea, and he told me to keep a diary, and that's exactly what I did. So when I left the course, I had a very clear vision inside my mind, A to Z.
Yeah.
And when I kept a diary, I built myself little steps along the way to achieve that goal. So every week, every month, every year, I was doing little things, but at the end of the year, they were huge. And I was building myself up to becoming an eloquent speaker.
Yeah.
And some of the things I used to do is I used to go for interviews.
Yeah.
No, I didn't want that job. I just wanted to go for an interview to be comfortable practicing my speech. I used to do presentations inside Munster Technological University. So every time I had a lecturer called Noel Collins, he gave me the first 2 minutes of his class just so I could practice his speech. But it's getting that practice in to becoming comfortable with the uncomfortable.
Yeah.
And pushing out of your self-limiting comfort zones.
Yeah. I'm sure there's a definite parallel between what you're just describing there now and the experiences you have as a sportsman, because you're very much into martial arts. So would I be right in that assumption that when you've been training yourself in your martial arts and you are, it sounds like, continuously training yourself as somebody who stutters, is there a parallel between those two?
So I had to use the same mindset from my background in martial arts and swimming into my speech. So I had to become very, very good at the sport of speaking. And I use all of the necessary disciplines associated with my sport for speaking.
Yeah.
Very focused, very driven, passionate.
Yeah.
And hard working.
That's the first time I've ever seen or ever heard of speech being described as a sport. But if it takes the exact same skill set and to get the same results, it makes perfect sense. It makes absolute perfect sense. What other aspects of your mindset do you feel or are mindset are necessary, or do you feel are necessary for someone to be successful like that?
At home, I have a certificate from my third degree black belt.
Yeah.
On that cert, and on my suits, it says true victory is victory within oneself. I bring that quote everywhere with me. That quote means a lot more to me than people might know. And once you accept yourself of who you are, the person you want to be, then that is true victory within yourself.
Yeah.
And I wear it on my heart.
Yeah. If you could look back at the little Jamie Googan that was sitting in that circle inside in your first day in secondary school, or the Jamie Googan who walked into what's now MTU, what would you whisper in that, especially I suppose go back to the first day of secondary school, what would you whisper in that Jamie Googan's ear?
Good question.
Yeah.
Something I never asked myself. But if I was to look back and I was going to give him advice, it'd be time to be calm. And you can do it.
Brilliant. Excellent
be
stuff.
Calm.
Yeah. I suppose one of the real things that's driving you forward is your desire to meet US President Joe Biden. Would you mind talking to me a little bit about that, please?
President Joe Biden is now probably the most powerful man in the world. And for a president to have a stutter, the same as myself, it can only go to show other individuals who stutter what can be achieved. President Biden is the patron of the American Institute of Stuttering. He attends their gala every year and he is constantly working on creating awareness of stuttering. Last year, he did a fantastic interview with Anderson Cooper, and he gave 15 minutes just to answer someone's question on stuttering. And without him, it couldn't be done on a global scale. And President Biden, for us, is the guy we certainly look up to, because he achieved the most powerful position in the world. And that is inspiring for all of us to show this can be overcome, this can be achieved, and yes, you can do it, but you have to believe in yourself.
So he is the living embodiment of what somebody with a stutter can achieve.
Of course,
Yeah.
yeah.
Brilliant, excellent. One other question for you. What advice would you give to a 10, 11, 12, 13-year-old or a kid of any age who has a speech impediment, who has a stutter, and who is struggling with it, who is struggling with their mental health at the moment? Or it might be a 17 or a 19 or a 20-year-old, or even a 40-year-old.
It's very important that kids, teenagers, adults, they meet someone else with the same problem. Because as soon as you tell them, don't worry, I have a stammer, straight away they're hooked.
Yeah.
They ask you, tell me. You tell them your story, and you see their faces. They know they're not alone anymore. They know they're not in isolation. And from that, you create a bond where you can eventually help that person. But they're not alone in this. There's hundreds of people in Ireland that are challenged by stuttering. Now, I never met anybody until I met Michael O'Shea. But you're not alone in this. And the most hardest thing that I ever did was reach out and ask for help. And it took me to break first, mentally, before I asked for help.
Yeah.
But it takes an awful lot of courage to make a phone call, to confide in a friend or a family member that you need help. But everybody walking the face of this planet is going to need help at some point in their life. And there is no shame in asking for it. And it can be overcome. There is people out there that can help you. And it's just reaching out and looking for it. And if anybody is watching this and they want to get in contact with us, send a message to the campaign page. I will give you my private phone number. No one else has that phone number. You can call me and I will talk to you. And I can direct you in the right direction. But I will talk to you.
Brilliant. One other question for you. All of us are learning as we go through life. What are you learning from this campaign?
The support, the humility, the humbleness. It's all starting to kind of get me from everyone that came into the room today. It leaves you very humbled. It leaves you with a sense of encouragement to go forward and drive this onto the White House. It leaves you with that, but it is a wonderful thing.
Good, wonderful. Excellent. The energy here today has been absolutely superb. That energy is to a huge extent down to your good self and all the work you've done. So I'd like to thank you so very much for everything you are doing, for everything you've done, for everything you're about to do. I'm certain that yourself and Joe Biden will be sitting down to talk at some stage before too long. And I think everybody wishes yourself and the two Michaels the very, very best of luck with that.
Thank you very much, Conor. And also, congratulations on the Outstanding Contribution to Education Award today that you got from the Lord Mayor, Colm Kelleher, and Mike Collins TD. No better award to give to the correct person. And thank you for continuously supporting your former students, because without people like you, these would not be possible. And as I said in your award, Cork is certainly proud of you, sir.
You're very, very kind, Jamie. Thank you very much for that.